today, guys, this is the beginning. So we want to welcome you. Dr. Ron and I would love to welcome you to the first of a 10-part series, which is Success Without Struggle: Why Achievers Burnout and How to Break the Cycle. I'm Kara Schug, and I'm here with Dr. Ron Stotts, and together we're exploring what it really takes for high achievers and visionary leaders to move beyond outer success and into deeper fulfillment, conscious leadership, and lasting impact.
In this series, we're going to go beyond strategies and the superficial fixes. We're going to expose the really deeper hidden patterns that keep leaders trapped in cycles of burnout, pressure, and overdrive. I think more importantly, we'll show you how to transform those patterns so that success comes with peace, creativity, and authenticity.
And each episode blends real client stories, cutting edge research, and practical tools that you can use immediately. So, whether you're leading a company, a team, or your own really busy life, these conversations will help you strengthen the inner game so that everything else works out better.
Let's dive into today's episode: Success Without Struggle: Why High Achievers Burn Out and How to Break that Cycle.
So, like Dr. Ron said, we're diving into something that just about every achiever really does wrestle with, and it's the cost of success when it comes with struggle. So, from the outside, you look like you're thriving, but privately, there's pressure, there's fatigue, there's this quiet voice saying, "Why does this have to be so hard?"
I've working with high level leaders, executives all the time. I see it over and over again. Brilliant, accomplished people who can do almost anything except relax. They've tried managing their time, meditating, reading books, yet the tension just doesn't go away because what's driving it isn't in the schedule, it's in the subconscious. And honestly, it's incredibly hard to unwind alone. We're all too close to our own stories. And that's why real change usually begins in safe, reflective conversations where you can finally see what's been running the show.
Ah, exactly. Those internal voices, the controller, the hyperachiever, the stickler, they just keep insisting that success has got to come through pressure. It's got to be high pressure. There's got to be a lot of pressure. And for years, that belief even worked a little. But eventually, the body, the heart, and the people around you start signaling that something deeper needs to shift. And that's the space we love helping people explore. So the shift from doing to being. From effort and trying to ease. So, to make it practical, let's look at the three levels of awareness. You might recognize yourself in one or maybe all of them.
Well, I think level one is really a more surface level. You're tired and maybe even burned out, but you tell yourself, I can handle it. And you keep pushing through because that's just what work's about. That's the way you are. But that level runs on sheer willpower, and willpower always has an expiration date.
It does, guys. Then there's level two. And level two is awareness without freedom. You start to notice your own patterns and the perfectionism and the control and the way over commitment. You know that they're draining you, but you just can't seem to stop. I mean, it's like watching yourself from the outside and you see the trap, but you just don't see the door.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's level three. That's the deeper level where the old stories live. And this is where lasting transformation happens. But it's also where most people need support. They just, I get on discovery calls with folks and they just never see this third level of awareness because they're trying to see through the very lens that shaped their life, that created that. When we work with leaders at this level, what usually surfaces is something like, well, if I slow down, I'll lose everything, or I'm only valuable when I'm producing. Those deep beliefs, they might not even be aware or running the show, but they're in there. And once they become aware of that, they bring that subconscious to the conscious. Those become startling reality checks for them. Those patterns started when they were young, often, survival strategies to get love, to get acceptance, to fit in. And they're still running the show today. And understanding that brings these leaders, clients into an awareness with, allows them to be more compassionate. And, that's what really sets them free is that self-acceptance and understanding of themselves.
Guys, awareness really is power, but it's just the first doorway. And so stepping through it, it takes courage and patience. And it also takes the willingness to let someone walk beside you while you learn this new way of being.
Mm.
See, these patterns, they don't just live in your thoughts. I know you think they do because I used to think that they did. And then when you get the awareness, you realize, oh, some of those kind of slipped out just a little bit. Guys, they show up everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I see it and personally in their lives. It might look like sleepless nights, irritability, or just that constant undercurrent of anxiety. Even when things are looking good, there's that sense of tension underneath. The nervous system doesn't know how to rest. And that chronic stress takes a real toll on not only their own health and relationships, but those around them. Yeah.
And professionally, it looks like it's it might look like too much responsibility or doing too much, like micromanaging or struggling to delegate. How many of us like it's just easier for me to just do it than to try and teach them how to do it? Guys, what got you to here will not get you to where you want to go. Teams feel the pressure too. Even if you don't say a word, remember, some of it just kind of slips out and you think that no one knows. There's an energy, and that energy that's in you, it ripples outward. And so when people begin this journey, one of the very first things that they notice is how much lighter their environment feels when they start healing from within.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is a ripple effect. The leader's nervous system sets the tone for the whole system. And when they find balance, of course, others sense that also instantly, and that ripples out. And so it makes a big difference.
So we're going to do this. This is a 10-part series, and we're going to do some of this in every one. We'll do some teaching, and then it's a little bit more like a workshop. So you really need to be involved as much as you can to get the most out of it. And so we're going to take a few minutes, and if you have a notebook, that's great. You can jot these prompts down. If not, just sit quietly and think through them without analyzing. We're trying to get you to go into your subconscious, not into your conscious mind. And so we're going to have you take really good breath in. And then Dr. Ron will say the beginning of a sentence. You repeat what he says on the exhale and then just finish it with whatever comes up. Try not to think too much. Take good deep breaths, maybe even close your eyes because that way you're going more internal. Dr. Ron?
Yeah, and just for me, these tools are useful for you really, literally for the rest of your life, every day, anytime. You're going to always look when you're feeling something, when you're uncertain about something, when you're trying to figure something out. Learning the sentence completion, learning to breathe and say these sentences and complete them. Of course, you'll be creating new ones over time. Really becomes an incredibly useful tool. So yeah, so you're learning something that might be with you for a long time. So, going to take a breath in. And as Kara said, it's during and with that exhale, you're going to say and complete the sentence that I suggest. Okay? Big breath in. Success feels like, yeah, I know you might want to think about that and figure it out, but I want you to just be spontaneous. Just let whatever comes out come out. That's unconscious, that subconscious that you're reaching and making it conscious. That's where the real truth is going to come. Big breath in. Success feels like just trusting whatever comes out. It might not feel right, it might feel silly, it might be perfect. Just trusting that, just listening to those different parts of yourself in a sense. Big breath in. Success feels like, what does it feel like? What does it feel like emotionally, physically, mentally? Begin to sense that. Let's do it one more time. Big breath in. Success feels like, good, nice going.
Right on, guys. Just play full out and you will walk away from this a different person. It takes a little while. Your brain is actually rewiring itself while we're doing this. And the fact that you're here, you really, seriously, you should take your hand like this, yeah, just like that, and then reach up as high as you can, and then reach over and pat yourself on the back. Because, guys, everything around you is going to try to stop you from what you're doing right now, including your own self in a lot of ways. And so just stick with it, trust the breath, take another good deep breath in. When I stop pushing, I'm afraid. Okay, again. When I stop pushing, I'm afraid. You're doing great. You're doing great. Again, in all the way. When I stop pushing, I'm afraid. Some of you probably rarely ever stop pushing. Take a good deep breath in. When I stop pushing, I'm afraid. But you're stopping now and you're here now and give yourself credit for that. Be proud of yourself. Last time on this sentence, good deep breath in. When I stop pushing, I'm afraid.
Just continue to breathe, and we're going to go into the next sentence. Big breath in. My biggest saboteur tells me, and just finish that whatever comes up. That might be your perfectionist, your controller, your achiever, whatever that voice within you that pushes you beyond taking good care of yourself. Big breath in. My biggest saboteur tells me, what does it tell you? How does it motivate you? What does it trick you into feeling and thinking that keeps you pushing harder than you should? Big breath in. My biggest saboteur tells me, and just give yourself that chance to look deeper and deeper and deeper each time you use a sentence like that. Let's just do it one more time. Big breath in. My biggest saboteur tells me. Nice. All right.
Very cool, guys. You're doing great. Next one, it just really good deep breath in. This is our last one in this series. We'll do a couple more, but just this is our last one. So play full out. What I want more than anything is another good breath in. What I want more than anything is, again, don't go in your head, just maybe close your eyes. Good deep breath in. What I really want is, proud of you guys for being here. It's a choice and you are worth it. Another good deep breath in. What I really want is, so I don't know if you wrote any of those down or if they just came to you, but our hope for you is some things came out of your mouth or out of your head if you weren't saying them out loud. And please do say them out loud. No one can hear you. When you do these reflections, guys, when you do, like Dr. Ron said at the very beginning of this might be a tool that you take with you and you keep for years and years to come. And it gets you through some really tight spots, I can assure you. And so these reflections can reveal more truth than sitting down and writing for hours in your journal. Often, what you're going to discover here is exactly what needs compassion and attention, not just fixing. This is the first step out of the old pattern.
A couple points I want to make is as Kara was talking about, those attaboys and attagirls. Boy, I tell you, with my clients, they recognize that they're very stingy when it comes to giving themselves that pat on the back. And what they recognize is, oh, I'm also stingy about giving those pats on the back to others. And you really want to start doing that rather than feeling like you need to push yourself so hard. Think in terms of what do you think? Is that how you would raise your kids, is by pushing and pushing? Or do they like it when you give them that pat on the back? Do they even do more? Well, that's the same for you and that child within you, you might say. All right, good, good. All right. Well, let's just really kind of ground this research. So, according to Harvard Business Review, 60% of executives report significant burnout symptoms. So, you're not alone. That's natural. You don't have to pretend. That's 6 out of 10 leaders running on depleted energy. And when we stay in that state too long, the brain's survival system takes control. That prefrontal cortex, where creativity and empathy live, just goes offline. It shuts down. And that's why people say they lose that spark, their intuition, or even their patience. So recognize that, that breathing opens up that right brain. That breathing and saying the sentence and being intuitive and spontaneous allows that interconnection between the whole brain thinking and integrated whole brain thinking. So you're really accessing the best levels of, if you're looking for a solution or trying to figure out what to say or do next, you don't want to shut down. You want to open up, and that breathing and being spontaneous gives you that. So good.
Shirzad Chamane's work in Positive Intelligence. It is a great book. We both highly recommend it. And it describes what Dr. Ram was just talking about beautifully. When we're in the saboteur mode, the brain literally shifts into threat response. So it's not that you're weak or you're broken, it's biology. But biology can be retrained.
Yeah, exactly. And that retraining, that gentle neurological rewiring is the essence of transformational work. It's really, if I were to really be honest, I would just say I'm helping you neurologically rewire your brain. Not very sexy, but certainly is effective. And it's not hard, not about trying harder. It's about learning how to come home to yourself, reconnect with yourself. Most people can't do that in isolation because the mind that created those patterns, that disconnection, can't see the patterns clearly and how to see overcoming those old established patterns.
And guys, I'm just going to go with a little personal story here, because this is what happened. I couldn't understand. I'm so ridiculously analytical, and when I started working with Dr. Ram over a year ago, doing all of this work, it was just really wild. But he kept saying, "You got into this in relationship, and you need to get out of this in relationship." And I just didn't understand what he meant. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Until one day when we were working together, and I was doing sentence completion, really deep breathing, and he asked me, "When are you fully present?" And I said, "Well, I'm fully present when I'm coaching, when I'm with someone and there that nothing, I don't see or hear anything else. I'm fully present then, or when I'm on stage." And then it hit me, and I just opened my eyes and I looked at him and I said, "That's why I have to do this in relationship. I wouldn't go that deep for myself by myself. I needed a guide to help me and also kind of see what I literally could not see." And so that's why reflection with another person, someone who can see your brilliance beneath the burnout, is so powerful. And it's what allows awareness to literally turn into freedom.
Certainly agree with that, especially having watched it with hundreds and thousands of folks that I work with, and I'm sure you've seen the same. So yeah. So let's jump into another sentence completion exercise. Keep in mind, this is not only giving you, it's really think in terms of the personal journey, the professional journey of really developing is one of becoming more self-aware. And so what we're doing is really allowing, supporting you, guiding you, and accessing subconscious thoughts and bringing them into your conscious. That's what becoming more self-aware looks like. So let's continue with a few deeper reflections, okay? So taking a breath in, just again, just spontaneous, not efforting, not trying, not thinking. Big breath in. If I trusted flow instead of control, just whatever comes out, just that's what you want to trust. Big breath in. If I trusted flow instead of control, if you don't find something to finish it with, that just probably means you're looking in your head. All you need to do is breathe and say it again. Big breath in. If I trusted flow instead of control, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would that be different for you? One more time, big breath in. If I trusted flow instead of control, way to go.
You guys are doing great. Take a good deep breath in. When I breathe before reacting, keeps me out of trouble. Another good deep breath in. When I breathe before reacting, how about before saying yes? Someone asks you a question, you stop and take a breath then too. Take another good breath in. When I breathe before reacting, good, good, good. I hope you're playing full out, guys. It really will help you if you will do this. We promise you it works. Good deep breath in. When I breathe before reacting,
Let's just go jump right into the next one. Take a big breath in. My energy is drained when, big breath in. My energy is drained when. Be honest with yourself. Feel it. What comes out? Let that subconscious truth come out. Big breath in. My energy is drained when. What? Is it when you're dealing with other people, when you're not acknowledging how you're feeling? What are the circumstances where you feel drained afterwards? Be aware of that. Doesn't mean you have to avoid that. Just means you have to be aware of it so you can shift some things and be empowered by it. One more time. My energy is drained when. Good.
good job, guys. Good job. And it's so good awareness. Remember that how powerful awareness is. Another good deep breath in. And then on your exhale, real success would look like
Mm.
it's different for everyone. Take another good deep breath in. Real success would look like hopefully you're getting surprised and encouraged by some of your own answers. Take another deep breath in. Real success would look like one more time. Real success would look like so, guys, you can do this on your own. You can go back and rewatch these. You can send it to someone that you hope, that it will help.
Yeah, just notice what shifts inside as you're doing this, just as you breathe and tap that subconscious awareness. Is there a feeling of spaciousness? Is there a feeling of relaxation? Or your shoulders sort of relaxing? Your whole body feels a bit more relaxed, perhaps. That's the beginning of transformation. And learning to access it consistently really is the heart of this work. Okay.
So
So,
by accessing it, Doc, and going into your subconscious,
yeah.
why is that so important?
Well, that's what we're at the effect of. That's what runs our life. We've got about 5% of our thoughts that we're aware of, and we always kind of consistently say, "Oh, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm determined to do that, and I have this goal," and yet oftentimes they don't work out, and that's because our subconscious is 90 to 95% of our thoughts are subconscious, and we're not aware of those, and they run our life. They've got our old programming. All the things we did to protect ourselves as a child are now what often sabotages us as an adult. So really key, quite important. Yeah. So how do you start breaking that old cycle is what we want to look at. And let's walk through, I would say, a simple three-step process, one we've been seeing transform thousands of lives.
And so step one, we've alluded to it several times, is awareness. You need to name what's happening. And so you notice that inner voice say, keep going. You don't have time to rest. Just pause. Just take a breath. And just the recognition alone, literally awareness, guys. I don't know the statistics, but Alcoholics Anonymous says it's a really high percent. It's just just realizing that you have a problem is a huge part of fixing it. And so recognition alone loosens the grip of that negative chatterbox that keeps, grouching at you all the time.
Let's say step two is just, as you mentioned, that micropause. You take a breath in and you just let yourself, rather than react, you are present with yourself. And that single breath moves you from survival into choice. It gives you that choice point. It allows your brain to really see the best next step that you can take. And as you breathe into that, then you get to see your next best step. And over time, those moments of pause really become bridges to a calmer, more creative life. I often am sharing that, all I have to do is breathe and be curious, breathe and be present, because the best my thinking, the best, my ability to see and handle any situation is enhanced in that process.
It is really amazing, guys. And it costs you wait, nothing? It costs nothing to breathe and be curious and breathe and relax. And it literally changes the way you see everything. And that leads us to step three, which is reframe. And so you have to remind yourself, guys, that ease and success literally can coexist. You all know someone who that is, how their life is. And what if the path forward didn't require so much struggle? What if inspiration could lead instead of fear leading?
Yeah, I know these steps sound simple, and in truth they are. They're, but living them requires practice. That practice is really what's neurologically rewiring your brain. You've been walking down pathways and they're well worn down and open to you. Neurological pathways are the same way. You've been certain ways of thinking, certain ways of problem solving, certain ways of dealing with issues and challenges and life. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying you've got access to a lot more supportive ways, So you don't have to master all this overnight. It's really a transition. Transformation is a process, and having the right structure and support makes it sustainable. That's why communities, mentors, and mindful conversation really can matter. They hold the space for new habits that take root.
And eventually the struggle, it softens. I mean,
Mhm.
you still achieve, you still lead, you still strive for excellence, but from a foundation of peace and not pressure. It literally It literally rewires your brain. And Dr. Ron, that just sounds so crazy. How long have we known that the brain is plastic? Now we know that.
Well, I remember when I started, I was co-directed brain integration back in the 70s, and that was really when they first started recognizing this. But there's been a tremendous amount of research since then that's shown the degree of that plasticity and how quickly we can literally transform the mind's capabilities, giving access to all of it we're able to really have up there rather than limit. So many people they shut down when they're challenged, when they really need to learn to open up so that they can see their next best step. Really makes a world of difference.
It's very true, guys. We are the only species that when we're upset or have any kind of a negative emotion, we literally hold our breath. I mean, what does that do to us, Dr. Ron?
Well, it literally shuts off a higher level thinking. It puts us in fight or flight. We're telling the body if we're not breathing that we're in danger, so we're in fight or flight. So all of a sudden, we just don't have access to the best of who we are. We're back in the tundra, waiting to be chased by a tiger or lion or something. And it's like, well, that tiger or lion is usually just a challenging moment with somebody else or within our own mind. And so that it's overkill and it's killing us because it diminishes our health, it diminishes our capacity to be creative and to see our way forward in life in an empowering way. So, yeah.
Okay, so when it does begin to shift, when and you do start to live this way, how does it impact people?
I think they feel lighter. They rest. They're sleeping better. They rest more deeply, and it connects them with themselves. They begin to really feel connected with themselves, and that relationship with yourself is mirrored in your relationship with others. So you all of a sudden start feeling more connected with others, and that's very empowering. You stop chasing moments of happiness and start experiencing them daily. You start recognizing that it's kind of like, it's like meditation. If you're trying to meditate, you will sabotage your meditating because you will have a noisy mind and trying and efforting. And if you're chasing happiness, you're doing the same thing. That efforting comes from a place of fear and scarcity, not one of trust and openness, and that you can recognize you'll experience it daily as you make that shift.
Right on. And professionally, you inspire through your presence rather than your pressure. People can sense your calm, they can sense your clarity, they can sense your compassion. And you may or may not feel like you have a lot of power. However, guys, if you were to walk into a room of 8 people that were sitting at a conference table and they were having a great time and everything was going well, and you went in and you just started to yell at one of those people and you were very upset, how would it shift the energy of everyone sitting there? Absolutely everyone would be shifted by it. And you, as a leader, even if you don't go in and yell, you just walk in and you want to yell, they feel it, guys. And that creates trust when you get past doing that. The most powerful currency in leadership is trust.
Yeah. And, we both have seen it again and again. Leaders are rediscovering their creativity, their joy, their impact simply by learning to operate from a place of awareness instead of adrenaline. That adrenaline is very addictive and might have gotten you to where you are, but it's what's holding you back from getting to where you want to go next. It's
It's
really,
true, guys. It's not quick fix work. And I say that and I want to give you a caveat to it. It's not quick fix work. However, as you're going through it, you are being fixed the whole way. The growth that you experience going through it is just incredible. It's very rewarding work. And you know what? You never really do it alone. You do it in connection, you do it through reflection, and you have to do it with a lot of patience.
if today's conversation resonated with you at all, if you see parts of yourself in these patterns, know that change is possible. It starts with awareness. It starts with you becoming more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent. It starts with you becoming more compassionate with yourself, giving yourself those pats on the back. And it comes with a willingness to look within. And sometimes having others walk beside you makes that process gentler, more complete.
And guys, you chose these patterns that you're running right now. Not don't mean to offend anyone, but you did. You chose them when you were a child. And the patterns that you chose were perfect for when you were a child. However, those patterns are not working for you as an adult. And those patterns, they were shaped from years of experience and good intentions, but it's impossible to outgrow them. You literally, and I've tried, you cannot out hustle your wounds, but you can heal them. And when you do, you'll find success and well being. They are not opposites, they're actually partners.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us in this first episode of Success Without Struggle. We're truly honored to walk this journey with you. One breath, one awareness, one choice at a time. Congratulations on taking care of yourself.
And guys, in the future, feel free to join us. This will happen every Tuesday morning. These will be released every Tuesday morning on Think Your Way to an Epic Life, which is, the podcast. And so until next time, please remember that calm is not weakness and presence, it's not passive. Those two things are your greatest power. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us.